I always thought Sophia and I had a good marriage. 12 years together, a beautiful home in Boston, and the kind of comfortable routine that felt like success. That night, I arrived early at her company holiday party to drive her home safely. I never expected to be sitting alone in that marble lobby, hearing my wife's drunken voice echo down the hallway. He's such a pathetic doormat that I could sleep with someone right in front of him and he'd apologize for being in the way. Before I dive into what happened next, where are you watching from? Hit subscribe if you've ever had someone you loved. Betray your trust. Looking back, my life with Sophia seemed picture perfect on the surface. We met during our sophomore year at Boston University, started dating after a mutual friend's birthday party, and never really looked back. I was studying computer science, while she pursued her marketing degree, both of us with big dreams for the future. 12 years and 8 years of marriage later, we had built what I thought was a solid life together in our upscale apartment, overlooking the Charles River. I am Armando Rivera, 35 years old, a senior software engineer at a mid-sized tech company. Not exactly setting the world on fire, but I do well enough. Sophia, on the other hand, had climbed the corporate ladder with impressive speed, becoming an executive at one of the most prestigious marketing firms in New England. I had always been proud of her ambition, her drive, and her success. Maybe too proud looking back now. The dynamic between us had shifted gradually over the years. In the beginning, we were equals two college kids in love, figuring out life together. But somewhere along the way, I became the supportive husband, and she became the star. I told myself this was modern marriage, taking turns to shine, lifting each other up. But the truth was, my turn never seemed to come. That December morning started like any other. I woke up early, brewed Sophia's favorite hazelnut coffee, and laid out her vitamins next to her breakfast. I had pressed her black designer dress the night before, the one with the subtle silver threading that made her eyes pop. She had been talking about this holiday party for weeks. It was more than just a celebration. It was a networking opportunity, a chance to impress the senior partners, maybe even discuss that promotion she had been eyeing. "Remember, I will text you when I am ready to leave," she said, as she applied her makeup, her eyes focused on the mirror rather than me. "Just wait in the lobby. Do not embarrass me by trying to mingle." The comment stung, but I brushed it off. "Of course, honey. I will just be your chauffeur tonight." I tried to make it sound like a joke, but she did not even smile. "And wear something decent," she added, glancing at my casual Saturday outfit. "The valets at this place probably dress better than you do half the time." Another little needle, but I let it slide. I always let it slide. That evening I arrived at the Marshall Tower downtown, an impressive glass and steel structure, housing multiple corporate offices. The holiday party was being held in the penthouse event space. I parked in the visitor's garage and straightened my tie in the rearview mirror. I had chosen my best suit, the charcoal gray one. Sophia had actually complimented once. Small victories. The lobby was all polished marble and modern art installations, Christmas decorations tastefully integrated with the sleek design. Well-dressed people streamed toward the elevators, talking excitedly about year-end bonuses and department gossip. I texted Sophia to let her know I had arrived. "Still networking. Need another hour at least. Wait in the lobby." I sighed and found a comfortable leather chair near a small fountain. I watched people coming and going, most of them looking like they belonged in a world I only visited. A world Sophia navigated with ease. I felt a swell of pride thinking about how far she had come from the marketing student who used to make flashcards at my kitchen table. But mixed with that pride was something else, a nagging sense of distance that had been growing between us. I checked my watch. 45 minutes had passed. I sent another text. "Everything okay? Do you need anything?" 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. "Stop hovering. We'll text when ready." I put my phone away, cheeks burning slightly. The woman at the reception desk gave me a sympathetic smile. I wondered how transparent my situation was to strangers. An hour turned into 2. I was getting restless, debating whether to go up to the party or continue being the obedient husband. That was when a server in black tie approached me. "Sir, can I get you anything? You have been waiting quite a while." Was it that obvious? "No, thank you. Just waiting for my wife." He nodded knowingly. "The marketing group, right. They are having quite the celebration up there." He hesitated before adding, "Your wife, is she? About 5'7", dark hair, blue dress. My attention sharpened. Yes, that is her. He looked uncomfortable. She seems to be having a good time. Something in his tone made my stomach tighten. He excused himself before I could ask what he meant. As I sat there, memories of recent months played in my mind, like warning signs I had chosen to ignore. Sophia coming home later and later smelling of wine and expensive cologne. The way her phone calls would end abruptly when I entered the room. How she had begun to make small, cutting comments about my job, my friends, even the way I dressed or ate. I had rationalized it all. She was under pressure at work. Success came with stress. Marriage required compromise. I told myself these things as I watched our relationship gradually transform into something unrecognizable. 3 years ago, we had moved from our starter home in Somerville to this luxury apartment because it was closer to her office. I had added 40 minutes to my own commute, but never complained. 2 years ago, she had convinced me to turn down a promising job opportunity because it would have required her to scale back her hours to share more household responsibilities. 6 months ago, I had stopped joining weekend gatherings with my college friends because she found them boring and basic. Step by step, I had become someone whose life revolved entirely around supporting hers. The realization sat heavy in my chest as I checked my watch again. Nearly 3 hours had passed. I finally decided I had waited long enough. Maybe Sophia needed a ride home sooner than she thought. Maybe she had forgotten to text me. I stood up, straightened my jacket, and headed toward the elevators. The reception desk was momentarily unattended, so I slipped past and pressed the button for the penthouse. The elevator rose smoothly, soft jazz, playing through hidden speakers. My reflection in the polished doors looked tired, resigned. When had I started looking so defeated? The doors opened to reveal a hallway lined with contemporary art directional signs, pointing toward the Marshall Partners holiday celebration. I could hear laughter music, the familiar soundtrack of corporate merriment. I walked slowly, suddenly unsure of myself. Would Sophia be angry that I had come up? Would I be intruding? Just before reaching the main event space, I passed a small lounge area, a breakout room for quieter conversations. I heard Sophia's distinctive laugh, that slightly higher pitch she used in professional settings, coming from inside. I slowed my steps. No, seriously though. She was saying her words slightly slurred. You have no idea what it is like being married to someone so compliant. I froze just outside the doorway, out of sight but within earshot. I should have made my presence known. I should have walked away. Instead, I listened. Armando is like this trained puppy. I renovated our entire apartment last spring without even consulting him. $12,000 of his savings, and when he saw it, he just nodded and said, "Whatever makes you happy, honey." Her impression of my voice was nasal, pathetic. Laughter followed. I recognized a few voices, colleagues of hers I had met at previous functions. "That is nothing," Sophia continued. "Last month I told him I needed to work late 3 nights in a row. I was actually at the Liberty with Jackson from the media team." More laughter. "Armando had dinner waiting each night when I got home. He actually apologized for the food being cold." My throat constricted. Jackson. The new hire she had mentioned a few times. Always in passing. Always professionally. But there had been something in her voice even then. "You are terrible," a woman's voice said, though she was laughing too. Am I wrong though? He is such a pathetic doormat that I could sleep with someone right in front of him and he would apologize for being in the way. The words hit me like a physical blow. I leaned against the wall, suddenly unsteady. He is out there right now, waiting like a chauffeur because I told him to stay in the lobby. Probably been sitting there for hours checking his phone. "Sophia, that is kind of mean," someone said half-heartedly. "Mean? It is realistic. Do you know how exhausting it is being married to someone with no backbone? Someone who never challenges you, never stands up for himself. I keep waiting for him to grow a spine, but it never happens." I heard the clink of glasses, more laughter. Then a male voice, smooth and confident. "Sounds like you need someone who can match your energy better." "Exactly, Jackson. Exactly." I heard the unmistakable sound of a kiss, murmured appreciation, more laughter. My ears were ringing. I felt simultaneously hot and cold, my heart hammering against my ribs so hard it hurt. The marble floor seemed to tilt beneath my feet. I had suspected things were not right between us, but this public humiliation, this betrayal, was beyond anything I had imagined. I backed away silently, retracing my steps to the elevator. Inside, I caught sight of my reflection again. face pale eyes wide with shock. I hardly recognized myself. The jazz music now seemed to mock me as I descended back to the lobby. I returned to my seat by the fountain, moving on autopilot. My mind was racing, replaying not just what I had heard tonight, but countless interactions over our relationship. How many times had Sophia tested my boundaries, pushed to see if I would finally stand up to her? How many opportunities had I missed to correct our course? The truth crashed down on me like a wave. I had become exactly what she described: a doormat. A man so afraid of conflict, so desperate to maintain peace, that he had surrendered his self-respect piece by piece until nothing remained. My phone buzzed with a text. "Ready now. Meet at front entrance." No please. No thank you. No acknowledgement of the 3-hour wait. Just another command she expected me to obey. And the worst part, if I had not overheard her conversation, I would have obeyed without question. I would have driven her home, asked about her evening, listened attentively as she fed me lies about networking and shop talk. My hands were shaking as I responded with a simple okay. I walked to the front entrance, a strange calm beginning to replace the initial shock. In that moment I made a decision. I would not confront her tonight, not while she was drunk, not in public. I would observe her, really see her for perhaps the first time in years, and then I would act. 20 minutes later, I watched as Sophia emerged from the elevator, leaning heavily against Jackson. Tall, conventionally handsome, his hand placed possessively on her lower back. Her makeup was smudged hair, slightly disheveled. They were laughing about something, completely absorbed in each other, until they spotted me standing near the entrance. The change was immediate. Jackson's hand dropped away from my wife. Sophia straightened her expression, shifting from intimate playfulness to the careful neutrality she reserved for necessary interactions with service workers. "There you are," she said, as if I had been the one keeping her waiting. "Jackson was just making sure I made it downstairs safely." Jackson nodded awkwardly. "Good to see you again, man." We had met exactly once at a company picnic months ago. He had not remembered my name then, and did not bother using it now. "Thanks for taking care of my wife," I said, my voice surprisingly steady. I extended my hand, forcing him to shake it. His palm was sweaty. "Guilty. No problem. Well, I should get back to the party." He retreated quickly to the elevator, throwing one last look at Sophia that confirmed everything I needed to know. I guided Sophia to our car without a word. She stumbled slightly in her heels, the smell of expensive vodka wafting from her pores. As I helped her into the passenger seat, she looked up at me with unfocused eyes. "You always take such good care of me, Armando," she slurred, patting my cheek condescendingly. "So dependable." The words twisted in my gut like a knife. I closed her door and walked around to the driver's side, taking a deep breath before getting in. The drive home was silent, except for Sophia's occasional commentary about coworkers or slurred questions about whether I had been bored waiting for her. I gave minimal responses, hands gripping the wheel tightly as I navigated the nighttime streets of Boston. "Why are you so quiet?" she finally asked as we neared our apartment. "Are you mad at me for making you wait?" "Do not be so sensitive." I said nothing. Parking the car in our assigned spot, I helped her out and up to our unit on the 12th floor. Inside, she immediately kicked off her heels and flopped onto our sofa, the white Italian leather one she had insisted on buying, even though it cost 2 months of my salary. "God, what a night," she sighed, stretching like a satisfied cat. "Jackson is so funny. He does this impression of the VP that had everyone in tears." I stood in the middle of our living room, looking around at the space we shared. Everything from the abstract artwork to the sleek furniture had been selected by Sophia. Nothing reflected me or my preferences. Even the framed photos were ones she had approved, carefully curated moments that presented our relationship exactly as she wanted it to be seen. "What is your problem?" Sophia finally asked, noticing my continued silence. "You are being weird." "I heard you," I said simply. She rolled her eyes. "Heard me what?" "In the lounge. With your coworkers. With Jackson." The color drained from her face, replaced quickly by defensive anger. "Were you spying on me? I came up to see if you needed a ride home after waiting for 3 hours. I heard everything, Sophia." She attempted to sit up, straighter her intoxication, making it difficult to maintain her typical poise. "You are overreacting. It was just work talk." "Work talk." My voice rose slightly. "You called me a pathetic doormat. You said you were sleeping with Jackson while I waited at home with dinner. That was work talk. Oh, please, she scoffed, though I could see panic beginning to edge into her expression. Everyone vents about their spouse sometimes. It does not mean anything. You kissed him, Sophia. Right after saying I was so pathetic that you could sleep with someone in front of me, and I would apologize for being in the way. You are taking this completely out of context. She insisted, her words still slurred, but her tone sharpening. And so what if I kissed him? It was just a holiday party kiss. You are making a federal case out of nothing. In that moment, something broke inside me. Not my heart that had been breaking slowly for years. No, what broke was the dam holding back all the feelings I had suppressed in the name of keeping peace. Nothing. You humiliated me in front of your entire company. You have been cheating on me. You have been treating me with contempt for years, and I have been taking it because I thought that is what loving someone meant. Putting them first, supporting them, overlooking their flaws. I was shaking now, years of unexpressed anger and hurt pouring out. But that is not love, Sophia. What you have been doing, what we have been doing, that is not love at all. Sophia's face hardened, her momentary panic replaced by cold derision. Well, it is true, is it not? Look at yourself, Armando. When was the last time you stood up to me about anything important? When was the last time you had an opinion that was not just agreeing with mine? You have been disappearing for years, and honestly, it has been boring to watch. Her cruelty stunned me into momentary silence. This was the real Sophia, the one I had glimpsed in small moments but had chosen to ignore. The mask was completely off now. You want to know the truth, she continued, seemingly energized by finally saying what she really thought. I have been seeing Jackson for months, and not just him. There was David from legal last year, and my personal trainer before that, because they made me feel something. Anything. Each revelation was like a fresh wound, but beneath the pain was something unexpected relief. Relief at finally seeing the truth. Relief at no longer having to pretend. Get out, I said quietly. She laughed. Excuse me. This is my apartment too. I will sleep in the guest room tonight. Tomorrow we can discuss how we are going to handle the separation. But right now, I need you out of my sight. Her eyes widened in genuine surprise. She had expected me to crumble, to beg to try to fix things. The fact that I was not following her script seemed to confuse her intoxicated mind. You cannot be serious, she said, but there was a note of uncertainty in her voice. I have never been more serious in my life. I turned and walked to the guest room, closing the door firmly behind me. I sat on the edge of the bed in the dark, listening to Sophia moving around in the living room, then eventually retreating to our bedroom. I expected to cry, to fall apart, but instead found myself in a strange state of clarity. For the first time in years, the path forward was perfectly clear. I slept surprisingly well that night. When I woke the next morning, I lay still for a moment, half expecting to find that it had all been a nightmare. But the unfamiliar ceiling of the guest room confirmed the reality of my situation. I showered and dressed in the guest bathroom, then headed to the kitchen. Sophia was already there, wearing sunglasses indoors, nursing a cup of black coffee. She had the haunted look of someone severely hungover and severely worried. Armando, she began, her voice rough. About last night I heard enough. Last night I interrupted pouring my own coffee. I do not need to hear any more. You need to let me explain, she insisted, removing her sunglasses to reveal bloodshot eyes. I was drunk. I did not mean those things I said. Which things? I asked calmly. That I am a doormat, that you have been cheating on me with multiple men, that you have contempt for me. Which of those things did you not mean, Sophia? She flinched, then shifted tactics. We have been together for 12 years. You cannot throw that away over one stupid mistake. One mistake. This was not one mistake. This was the culmination of years of disrespect, dishonesty, and manipulation. You did not make a mistake last night, Sophia. You showed me who you really are, and who I have allowed myself to become. Her expression hardened. So that is it. You are just walking away. Yes, I said simply. I am. Where will you go? What will you do? You have built your entire life around me. The truth of her statement should have hurt, but instead it strengthened my resolve. That was my mistake. Now I am correcting it. I spent that day making calls. First to a divorce attorney who came highly recommended for handling high-conflict cases. Then to my bank, where I discovered Sophia had been transferring substantial amounts from our joint accounts into private ones. I froze what remained and opened new accounts in my name only. Finally, I called a real estate agent about short-term rentals. Sophia alternated between tearful pleas and vicious attacks. When she realized I was serious, that her usual tactics were not working, she made a critical error. "You will regret this," she hissed as I packed a suitcase. "I will tell everyone you were emotionally abusive. I will make sure you lose everything." I stopped packing and looked at her. "Is that your phone on the nightstand?" She glanced at it, confused by the non sequitur. "Yes." Why, I picked it up and handed it to her. "Call Jackson right now. Tell him exactly what you just told me." "What? Why would I?" "Because I am recording this conversation, Sophia. Just like I recorded our conversation this morning when you admitted to cheating with multiple people. Just like I have documentation of your financial transfers from our joint accounts. If you want to fight dirty, I am prepared." Her face went pale. "You would not dare. The old Armando would not. But I am not him anymore." 2 weeks later, I was settled into a small but comfortable apartment across town. I had hired one of the best divorce attorneys in Boston, ironically, one that Sophia herself had praised at a dinner party once. When served with papers, Sophia had immediately hired her own legal team, expecting a bitter, protracted battle. What she did not expect was my preparation. The recordings, the financial documentation, the text messages I had recovered from the cloud backup of her phone, all of it painted a clear picture of her infidelity and financial misconduct. Her attorney advised her to settle quickly. Meanwhile, something unexpected happened at work. The director of engineering, who had been trying to recruit me for a project for months, finally caught me at a moment when I was ready for change. The position came with a significant promotion and the chance to lead the development of a new product. A year ago, I would have turned it down because it would have required more hours, more focus, less availability to support Sophia's career. Now I said yes, without hesitation. The divorce proceedings moved relatively quickly. I did not want to punish Sophia financially, I just wanted out with my dignity intact. In the end, we divided assets fairly, though her attorney fought hard against the evidence of her financial misconduct. The hardest part was telling our friends and family. Sophia tried to control the narrative, painting herself as the wronged party. But the truth had a way of emerging. Mutual friends who had witnessed her behavior over the years connected the dots. My parents, who had always sensed something was off in our relationship, supported me wholeheartedly. 3 months after that fateful holiday party, I ran into Sophia at a restaurant downtown. I was having dinner with colleagues from my new project team. She was alone, looking like she had lost weight. Her typically perfect appearance slightly frayed around the edges. Our eyes met across the room. She gave me a hesitant smile and approached our table. "Armando," she said, her voice carrying none of its usual confidence. "You look good." "Thank you," I replied simply. "How are you, Sophia?" "I have been better." She glanced at my companions, then back to me. "Could we talk sometime? Just to clear the air?" The old Armando would have jumped at this chance, seeing it as an opening to fix things. The new Armando recognized it for what it was, another attempt to regain control. "I do not think that is necessary," I said, kindly, but firmly. "I wish you well, but we have said everything that needs to be said." Something like genuine regret flashed across her face. "I really messed up, did I not?" "We both did in different ways," I acknowledged. "But sometimes things need to break completely before they can heal properly." She nodded, seeming to understand that I was not referring to our relationship but to ourselves as individuals. "Take care of yourself, Armando," she said finally before walking away. I watched her go, feeling not victory or vindication, but peace. The kind of peace that comes from standing in your truth regardless of the consequences. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, my new life had taken shape. My apartment, though smaller than the one I had shared with Sophia, felt more like home than anywhere I had lived in years. I had decorated it according to my own tastes: warm colors, comfortable furniture, artwork that spoke to me rather than matched a designer's vision. The promotion at work had led to new challenges and opportunities. The project was succeeding beyond expectations, and I had discovered leadership skills I never knew I possessed. Colleagues respected my technical abilities, but also my emotional intelligence and integrity qualities that had always been present, but that I had somehow forgotten to value. I had started therapy, a decision that initially felt like admitting weakness, but soon proved to be one of the most strengthening choices I had ever made. Through those sessions, I began to understand the patterns that had led me to surrender my identity so completely to someone else. I recognized the childhood roots of my conflict avoidance, growing up with parents who fought constantly until my father finally left. I had vowed never to be like him, never to engage in conflict, never to leave, no matter what. That promise, born of a child's pain, had become the chain that bound me to a destructive relationship. I learned that being supportive did not mean being subservient. That love required honesty with your partner, but most importantly, with yourself. Friends I had neglected during my marriage became central figures in my life again. We went hiking on weekends, met for dinners, attended concerts, activities I had forgotten I enjoyed. Family relationships strengthened as I showed up more authentically, no longer filtering my experiences through Sophia's preferences. Most surprising was the response from mutual friends, and even some of Sophia's colleagues. After the initial shock, many reached out privately to express their admiration for how I had handled the situation. Several confessed they had witnessed her behavior at work functions, and had felt uncomfortable but unsure how to help. One even admitted, "We all knew something was wrong, but you seemed so devoted to her that we thought you must be happy with the arrangement." That comment struck me deeply. How often do we see others suffering but convince ourselves that they must have chosen their circumstances, that they must be content? The truth is, I had not been happy for years. I had been comfortable in my martyrdom, believing that sacrifice was the highest form of love. It took hearing my wife's cruel words to shake me from that delusion. I have forgiven Sophia not because she deserved it, or even asked for it properly, but because carrying anger would only have continued to give her power over my life. More importantly, I have forgiven myself for staying so long, for losing myself so completely. The experience has changed how I approach all relationships. I now understand that healthy boundaries are not barriers to intimacy, but prerequisites for it. That self-respect is not selfishness. That true partnership requires two complete individuals choosing each other every day, not one person disappearing into the other's shadow. If I could tell my younger self one thing, it would be this: love should never come at the cost of your dignity. The moment someone asks you to make yourself smaller to accommodate their greatness, they have misunderstood what love is. And if you agree to that arrangement, so have you. Life is too short and too precious to spend it being a supporting character in someone else's story. We are all meant to be the protagonists of our own lives, not out of ego or selfishness, but because that is the only way to bring our unique gifts fully into the world. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself, and ultimately for others, is to stand up, speak your truth, and walk away with your head held high. That is not failure. That is not giving up. That is reclaiming your power and your purpose. Has anyone else had to rebuild their life after realizing they had lost themselves in a relationship? Share your story in the comments below. If this resonated with you, please hit the like button and subscribe to hear more stories about personal growth through difficult times. And remember, sometimes the most painful endings lead to the most beautiful beginnings. Thank you for listening, and may you always have the courage to honor your worth.